Good afternoon, everybody. It is Auntie Michelle, and I am back with Black Book Joy. Today, I'm super excited, like always, not only because I get to read to you, but today's subject is about reading. And I am so glad that you love reading so much that you are watching another week of Black Book Joy. Today, our book is called The Boy Who Didn't Believe in Spring. The Boy Who Didn't Believe in Spring. And it's written by Lucille Clifton. We know Lucille Clifton. She's a famous Black author who's written lots of books about and for Black people. Pictures are by Brenton Turkle. It's The Boy Who Didn't Believe in Spring. And there's the front. And there's the back of the book, The Boy Who Didn't Believe in Spring. Let's start reading our book. The Boy Who Didn't Believe in Spring. Have you read this book before? Do you know this book? Because if you have, maybe you can read along with me in some places. And then also, if you haven't, it'll be a new introduction, another reason to talk about why we love reading. This book, the author said, was for Shawnee. For Shawnee. I wonder who Shawnee is. What do you think? Do you think it's Lucille Clifton's child? Or maybe a sister or a brother? Who knows? Let's start reading our book together. Here's the first page. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named King Shabazz who didn't believe in spring. No such thing, he would whisper every time the teacher talked about spring in school. King Shabazz said, no such thing, every single time. Where is it? Where's it at? He would holler every time his mama talked about spring at home. He used to sit with his friend Tony Polito on the bottom step when the days started getting longer and warmer and talk about it. Everybody talking about spring, he would say to Tony. Big deal, Tony would say back. No such thing, he would say to Tony. Right, Tony would say back. They didn't believe in spring. I am so curious to find out why. One day, after the teacher had been talking about birds that were blue and his mama had started talking about crops coming up, King Shabazz decided he had just about had enough. He put his jacket on and his shades and went by for Tony Polito. Look here, man, King said when they got out to the bottom step. I'm going to get me some of this spring. What you mean, man? Tony asked him. Everybody talking about spring coming and spring just round the corner. I'm going to go round there and see what I do see. Tony Polito watched King Shabazz get up and push his shades to the tight of his nose. You coming with me, man? He said while he was pushing. Tony Polito thought about it for a minute. Then he got up and turned his cap backwards. Right, Tony Polito said back. Look at Tony and King Shabazz. You see their faces? They look determined. They're going to go find this spring. King Shabazz and Tony Polito had been around the corner before, but only as far as the street light alone. They passed the school and the playground. Tony and King walking around the neighborhood looking for spring. Ain't no spring in there, said King Shabazz with a laugh. Sure ain't, agreed Tony Polito. They passed the Church of the Solid Rock with high windows all decorated and pretty. They all over the hood. Looking for spring, Tony and King. They passed a restaurant with little round tables near the window. They came to a takeout shop and stood by the door a minute to smell the barbecue. Sure would like to have some of that, whispered King. Me too, whispered Tony with his eyes closed. They walked slower down the street. That barbecue slowed them up, y'all. They had to see where that barbecue smell was coming from. I do too sometimes. Just after they passed some apartments, King Shabazz and Tony Polito came to a vacant lot. It was small and had high walls from apartments on three sides of it, three walls around it, and right in the middle, a car. It was beautiful. The wheels were gone and so were the doors, but it was dark red and sitting high on a dirt mound in the middle of the lot. Oh man, whispered King. Oh man, whispered Tony. Then they heard the noise. Look at them. Look at that car. They was like, oh man. Looking for spring. It was a light little long sound, like smooth things rubbing against rough, and it was coming from the car. It happened again. King looked at Tony and grabbed his hand. Let's see what it is, man, he whispered. He thought Tony would say no and let's go home. Tony looked at King and held his hand tightly. Right, he said very slowly. The boy stood there a minute, then began tiptoeing over toward the car. They walked very slowly across the lot. When they were halfway to the car, Tony tripped and almost fell. He looked down and saw a patch of little yellow pointy flowers growing in the middle of short, spiky green leaves. Man, I think you tripped on those crops, King laughed. They're coming up, Tony shouted. Man, the crops are coming up. Look at them talking about the crops coming up at that vacant lot with the car with no wheels that looks so good. And just as Tony was making all that noise, they heard another noise, like a lot of things waving in the air. And they looked over at the car, and three birds flew out of one of the door holes and up to the wall of the apartment. Inside that car were birds looking for spring. King and Tony ran over to the car to see where the birds had been. They had to climb up a little to get to the door and look in. They stood there looking for a long time without saying anything. And there on the front seat, down in the whole lot of cottony stuff, was a nest. There in the nest were 4 little blue eggs. Blue! King took off his shades. Man, it's spring, he said to himself. Look at those eggs. King said, it's spring, man. Anthony Polito. King and Tony jumped down from the mound. Somebody was shouting for Tony as loud as he could. Anthony Polito. The boys turned and started walking out of the vacant lot. Tony's brother Sam was standing at the edge of the lot looking mad. Mom's gonna kill you after I get finished, you squirt, he hollered. King Shabazz looked at Tony Polito and took his hand. Spring is here, he whispered to Tony. Right, whispered Tony Polito back. Spring is here. What a great story. How many of you know that spring is here? Spring is here. And it only took King Shabazz and his friend Tony to find it for us today in our book, The Boy Who Didn't Believe in Spring by Lucille Clifton. There's a picture of King Shabazz on the cover of our book. He's one cool looking kid and he was determined to find spring. Think about all the things that he did to find spring and think about what makes this such a good book to read. I love a good book, especially in the springtime. And while today is spring, it's still not as warm as I like it to be outside. Once it is, Auntie Michelle's going to go outside and bring some books to you. But in our book today, there were so many interesting words and pictures that we learned as we looked in our book. And all of those are so important as we learn to read and we read to learn. Today was a time to learn to read, and we also got a chance to learn some things while we were reading. I love the fact that his name was King Shabazz. I love how the author put a lot of words on some pages and then not so many words on other pages. It gave me a chance to really think and catch my breath. This is one of my favorite pictures. And did you know that if you can look at a picture and you can think about what this picture is saying, that's like reading too. You have to be able to look and think about what you're reading. And sometimes the text, the book, is actually a picture that we try to read. Great words, great rhythm to the book. I love how the pictures show us parts in the neighborhood, just like in mine. I love how in one part of the book, and I'm going to go back because I think it's so cool that Lucille Clifton showed us in the part of the book where King Shabazz had had enough. And I think it goes on to say that he pushed his shades up tight on his nose. You know what that's like? So let's pretend I have on some shades. Now these are my glasses, but let's pretend there's some shades. And look at Tony right there. You see? And he pushed his shades up tight on his nose. He pushed his shades up tight on his nose. He wanted to really see what was going on. You know what that's like? So the author used words to really make a good picture in our mind. Lets us think about what he was actually doing. The illustrator did that too. And then we came to another place when I love when they use this word. They passed a vacant lot. Think about vacant for a minute and think about the pictures they use to demonstrate a vacant lot like this. What that helps us think about what vacant would mean. That's why it's so important that we read, because we learn new words. We learn new words when we read that help us to tell better stories and help us ask better questions when we learn new words. So a vacant lot, vacant, look at how nothing is there. And that's how we know what the word vacant means. So again, it was King Shabazz in Lucille Clifton's book, The Boy Who Didn't Believe in Spring. Pictures by Brenton Turkle that helped us be better readers today. And so I'm excited because for today's craft, we're going to do something that will help us in our reading. So we're going to do something special today. We are going to make bookmarks. And so for our project today, something pretty simple. All we need is some markers, and you may have Crayola markers. I just had some Sharpie markers that I found in my room, and I was like, that's a good time to use my Sharpie markers. And then I'm getting 2 pieces of that foam-like board. 2 pieces of those foam-like boards. Now, like every week, you maybe just have poster board or cardboard, or maybe you just have some sheets of paper. All of that works for a really cool bookmark. And then you need a pair of scissors. All right. And so today we're going to make bookmarks. Now, bookmarks are what we put inside of books so that we remember where we are in the story so we can always find our page. If we have to put our book down, leave, and come back. Now, has that ever happened to you? Okay, so think about this for a second. Let's say that you wake up before anybody else in the house and you decide there's not much to do. I think I'm going to read a book. And you go get a book and you start reading it and you're liking the book. And then all of a sudden you hear your mama and she says, come on, it's time to get dressed. It's time to go. But you're only on this page. You didn't get a chance to finish the entire book. So that's when you would say, oh, man, no. That's when you would say, yes, ma'am, I'm coming. But you'd use a bookmark so when you come back, you know where you were. And so today we're going to make a bookmark. I'm going to make 2 bookmarks. Maybe you want to make 2 bookmarks or more because there's 2 pages in my story that I want to remember and go back to. Even though I finished the whole book, when I see my family later, I want them to see the picture of King Shabazz when he pushed his glasses to the top of his nose. And I want to show them the picture about the vacant lot because vacant is a word that we all should know. All right, so here we go. My first is a piece of yellow foam board. Remember I told you. And I can make a bookmark that goes from the top to the bottom. We call that hot dog style. Or I could make one that went from this top to this bottom, and we call that hamburger bun style, the shorter style. And because my book is not that terribly big, I think I'm going to make it that goes from hamburger style, from the top to the top. And so to start, I'm just going to cut up straight the middle. And I'm thinking about King Shabazz and spring when I'm creating this bookmark. And so as simple as this is, in the book, he talked about his glasses. Remember? And that's one of the pages I want to remember. I want to remember when he had on those glasses. So I'm going to make this bookmark in the shape of some glasses. I'm going to do something a little bit different so that the bookmark not only stays on the inside, but part of it comes on the outside. So to do that, I'm going to draw a pair of glasses. Now, I haven't done this much before, and I'm going to scoot the camera down so maybe you can see. I think that I'm going to draw a pair of glasses, and the handle of the glasses are maybe going to be like this. Oh yeah, I think this might work. The handle. Let's see. I'm looking at the picture. The handle of the glasses. Can you see what I drew? Okay, so I know it doesn't look like much yet. And I'm not an artist or an illustrator, but I do love to draw. So if we draw that as the handle, and then I'm going to cut that out, I think I'm going to draw the glasses next. And the glasses, I'm kind of looking at the picture. And there's a little bridge to the nose. Then remember what he did? He pushed it up tight. And then I'm going to draw the other side of the glasses. And bring that right on around. And right up. Okay. And let's see if I can't take that around there a little bit. Okay. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. What do you think? You think those look like glasses? I think it could work. I think it could work. Now what I'm going to do with my bookmark is I'm actually going to cut out the part that is underneath the eyeglass part. So you can watch me do that. And you'll be able to see why King Shabazz had those glasses pulled tight up on his nose. Tight up on his nose. And I'm cutting all the way around. You see? You see? Going up. And I think you'll like how this turns out. Okay. So we have our glasses, right? And I cut off the arm of the glasses, the side arm of the glasses. And now, the only other thing I want to do is remember King Shabazz's glasses were sunglasses. So I actually think I'm going to color in the black part. And you know what? One of the things I know about being around kids, some of my favorite friends, is anytime you say you can color it in, oh man, People get so hyped for that because it's like the best thing ever. Everybody's like, oh, I get to color it in. You know, adults kind of like to leave an outline what this looked like before I colored it in. But most of the time, my friends who are kids like to color it in. So I want to honor them today and color in those shades. I said shades. Is that what you call sunglasses? You call sunglasses shades? I call sunglasses shades. Where are my shades? It's also something I always lose. Yeah, so much so, you guys, that this time when I went to the doctor to get glasses, to the eye doctor, I wonder if you know what an eye doctor is called. That's a really good question to ask your mom or your dad, whoever you live with. What's an eye doctor called? When I went to the eye doctor, this time, because I'm always losing my shades, I asked them to make my glasses into actual shades so that when I go outside, I can keep my glasses on, and the glass part of my glasses, this part that I'm touching, which you really should never touch if you have glasses that come from an eye doctor, that part goes dark. It's tinted. It's tinted. It gets dark. So that way I can still see well, but the sun won't get in my eye. So those are called tinted glasses, which would be called shades or sunglasses. Oh, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. I think I got some cool shades. What do you think? Cool shades. Do you like those? I love it. I love it. Okay, so now I'd give it a few minutes to dry. So we're going to put it over on the other side. And we're going to put it there while we make our next bookmark. And again, I want to go back to the page that talked about the vacant lot. So to do that, I'm going to make another bookmark. But this time, I think I'm going to go hot dog style because in my mind, the vacant lot, what I really want to focus on is what was coming up out of that ground. You remember that? Maybe you would do a car, but I want to focus on what was coming out of that ground. And if I remember correctly, you like me remember what was coming out of that ground were some, he called them crops. And I think about crops, I think about food. But they were flowers. They were flowers. And I wonder, I don't know about that. Can you call flowers crops? Well, crops are about eating. We got to find out that question. So I'm going to make a bookmark this time. But the top of my bookmark, I think, should be some flowers. So before I do anything else, I'm going to draw some flower heads at the top of my picture. And so you can see this too. I'm making sure everybody can see. Watch this. Petal, 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 petal. And in the middle, I draw a circle. Then I'm going to connect all the pieces to the petal. Just like so. Okay? And I'm going to use a little blue. Well, no, I think I'm going to stick with the red colors. The red and pinks together. And I'm going to go over that one more time. Maybe on the inside. Petal, 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 and petal. Good. And now I'm going to draw one more. And this time I'm going to stick with the blues. Because I have two blues. And it's my flowers. And I can make my flowers look any way I want. So we're going to go with another petal. I'm going to make the petals a little bit bigger this time. There we go. Can you see that? And again, I'm going to put a little circle. And I'm going to connect the petals. And then I'm going to come back with the other blue. And I'm going to go inside. Oh, yeah. I'm liking this. I'm liking this. Oh, cool. The boy who didn't believe in spring. And then he says, spring is here. The birds, the crops, even the smell of the air, I bet. So in this bookmark, what I'm going to do differently this time is I'm going to draw two simple lines. And if I had a green, I would use it, but I don't, and it's okay. That are the stems of the plant, of the flowers. And I think I'm going to draw the leaves. How is that? And yeah. All right, so long flowers, right? So now I'm going to cut out the top around those flowers, in and out, all the way around, in and out, all the way around. The Boy Who Didn't Believe in Spring, that was such a cool book. You know what? I love the words and I love to read, but I'm going to tell you, those pictures were awesome too. It's really cool when you work with somebody else, when you come together to work with somebody else and you create something brand new. You know, I think Lucille said, well, I can do the words. And her friend Brenton said, well, I can do the pictures. And guess what? That's what they did. One person did the pictures and one person did the words. Okay, so I cut it out around that one. Now I'm going to cut just a little bit more on the other side. And I go all the way around. And then I'm going to come up and cut that as well. There we go. There is my flower bookmark. Pretty simple, not too hard. Here is my shades bookmark. Pretty simple, not too hard. Now let's see if I can put them in my book. Who remembers the first page I wanted to be able to show my family today? That first page was the picture of King Shabazz pushing his glasses to the tight of his nose. And let's see if I can't find that page. Turn his mama in the window. Oh, there it is. And I'm going to put my bookmark on this page. But here's what makes my bookmark cool. I'm going to take the arm of the sunglass and pull it out. And my bookmark doesn't move. It's at the front. I like that. I like that one a lot. I love that idea. And when I open it up, there it is. My sunglasses and the arms on the outside. That's one place I want to remember. The second place I want to remember is the vacant lot. Oh, the Church of the Solid Rock. That was a good one too. I probably would have did that. Oh, here's the word vacant. And here's the vacant lot. And I'm going to put my flowers there to remind us of what's to come. And when I put my flowers there, you can't see them behind the sunglasses until you raise it down. Today we read The Boy Who Didn't Believe in Spring. We talked about why it's so important that we read, how we read to learn and learn to read. We also talked about some wonderful pictures, and we created 2 bookmarks that we can keep for our books for a long time to come. I'm Auntie Michelle, and this has been Black Book Joy. I hope you liked it, and I hope you have a great spring day. I love you. Bye-bye.